Hey everyone, how's it going? I'm making a video today on my bow setup and basically my bow, everything, all my accessories on my bow, what sight, what rest, my peep, all the details, my arrow, my weight, and I'm going to go a little bit into tuning and why I shoot what I shoot. But anyway, I'm going to start out by showing you the bow and then we'll go from there. Starting out with the bow, I'm shooting the Premonition HD. It's a pretty sweet shooting bow. I've got the black camo, skull camo. It's got a bunch of deer and elk skulls on it. Pretty sweet bow. But overall, it's very light. Shoots about 343 feet a second IBO speed, I believe. But I went to a bow shop, picked up a bunch of different bows, put them in my hand and shot them to see what felt good, and this is what I liked, so that's what I ended up going with. I got it on eBay and I got a really good deal. I found someone who had the bow, and then I just bought it bare bow and put all my own accessories. So for my rest, this is a drop away. This is the Apache drop away. The reason I like it, obviously, here's my string that attaches to my bus cable. When you draw your bow, that raises. When you shoot, it drops. The reason I'm shooting the Apache is I had a QDA drop away and I had some issues with it. So this, draws whenever you draw it back, and it drops. So it'll raise up when you're drawing, it'll drop whenever you shoot. Been a great rest. As far as my sight goes, I've got the Spot Hog. This is the Hogget. It's got a nice bar on it. I like it because it's got the ring that goes all the way around it to collect light. Right now I'm shooting 7 pins. As you can tell, I like the green, red, green, red, green, red. It's got a bubble on there. Third axis adjustment, a lot of adjustment. You can move each individual pin in or out. This one I particularly have set up 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, and 80 yards. Practicing those longer distances really help. As far as my quiver goes, here's my bracket, but I'm shooting the Quickie quiver. It holds 6 arrows. As far as my peep, I've got a Meta Peep 3/16 size. And then I just have I think that was the bone collector D-loops that I bought and installed. And then I have the Bowmar nose button right there. Overall, it's a really nice bow. Works out really well for what I'm doing. My stabilizer is in my bow case. I'll grab it so you can see that. I just put my stabilizer on there. Right now I'm running an Octane. I believe that's the 11-inch stabilizer, and I've got 2 weights that are on the front, but you can push that in. You got a lot of rubber here, and then those 2 additional weights really help balance everything out. As far as my release goes, right now I'm shooting the Scott Little Goose. It's a really sweet release, so I like it because of it being a single caliper. It's got a real hair trigger on it, but I like a single caliper better than a dual caliper, because with the dual, obviously you're gonna have both sides will have clamps and they're closed and open at the same time. This one, you have a straight bar, only one moving part, so less that can mechanically go wrong. So that's why I shoot that. As far as my rangefinder, get it out of my case here. Right now I'm using the Bushnell Scout 1000. It's got the ARC technology, so this rangefinder will range all the way up to 1,000 yards. Great rangefinder. I've been running this one for about 8 years now. Never had any issues with it. This year I am also shooting the FMJs Full Metal Jackets by Easton. These are 12 grains per inch. This is a 300 spine arrow. As far as my setup goes, I'm shooting 70 pounds and I'm shooting 29 inches. So I'm getting, my limbs are all the way tightened down, so I'm getting as much out of the bow that I can. As far as the broadheads go, this is a pretty sweet broadhead. These are the Simmons Sharks. I'm shooting 175 grains up front. These come in a 3-pack. I believe they're about 50 bucks, but you can't really go wrong there. They do shoot really well. They fly great. I've got the Boeing wrap on there. I've got blazer vanes. I put the wraps on myself, put the vanes on myself. I've got a video that I made with that. As far as my nocks, I was shooting nocturnals in the past. I went and these were blackouts by Bass Pro and Cabela's. They were about $5 cheaper, so I decided to go with these. So I believe those are about $30 for the lighted nocks. So that's pretty much my setup. Now I'm gonna go into why I shoot that. The reason I shoot these, I recently just moved to Missouri. The deer are much larger here, and I've been archery hunting now for I believe 18 years, and I've never had any issues really with hitting them forward in the shoulder. But if there was a case where I do hit one in the shoulder, I want to make sure I've got plenty of kinetic energy and penetration to blow through both shoulders. So last week I actually tested that out on a doe. I shot her through both shoulders on purpose. I'll drop a clip in right here right now. With her, when I shot her, she turned and ran, and she went a lot further than I thought, but I could see my arrow. I had about 12 inches of arrow sticking out on both sides. I could see my broadhead on one side, my lighted nock on the other. Worked out great, blew through both shoulders, and that was probably on about a 140-pound deer. I know obviously a big buck is going to be a lot bigger, but I wanted to have that confidence. Over here, this buck, this is one reason why I wanted to switch over. I used to shoot these Beeman arrows. I was shooting 29 inches, 70 pounds, and I used to shoot the Thunderheads, and ended up I shot this buck right in the shoulder at 21 yards or 23 yards, and it went through one shoulder and stopped. It never even made it through the other shoulder. So, but this setup, I'm guessing, you know, these are 8.4 grains per inch, 29 inches. By the time you add the nock, fletchings, and my 100 grain broadhead, I was probably right in there around 360 to 370 grains per inch. And so obviously it's like, do you want to get hit with like a little ball peen hammer, or do you want to get hit with a sledgehammer, is my thought behind that. Over here, you know, this is a Missouri buck that I did kill with a bow. I got a complete pass through on him. I was shooting the Velocity Pros with a Rage broadhead. Great results on that. Same with this mule deer. Same exact arrow, and set up the Velocities with Rage, and I will weigh those to compare. I shot him at 60 yards, and my broadhead went all the way through. It hung up on the fletchings. He ran about 10 yards, and the arrow fell out. But I hit him in the lungs, behind the shoulder. And the whole reason I'm shooting the heavy setup now is to where I can blow through that shoulder. Now that I'm over here near my scale, first off I'm going to weigh my Easton Full Metal Jacket to see what it comes in at. Got to balance it out. It's got a lot of front weight. But there you go, 600 grains on the dot. So there it is. Simmons Tiger Shark, Full Metal Jacket. I've got my own wrap, nocturnal, everything set up, 600 grains, works really well. Here's what I used to shoot in the past. These are Gold Tip Velocity Pros, 300 spine. These are 8.8 grains per inch. And you know, I've just got regular blazers on there, shooting at a Rage 100 grain. So I'm gonna put this on there and see. So coming in at 414 grains. Now that will work with shooting deer or elk, but if you hit a large shoulder bone or something like that, you're going to be a whole lot better with a heavier arrow. So that's the whole point and reason why I shoot heavier arrows. One of my viewers, who goes by the name of, I believe, Tactical Preacher, I want to say is what his name is. Yes sir, Tactical Preacher. He was asking me, he said, please make more videos of your bow setup, your arrow setup, tuning for broadheads, and speed test if I can. Unfortunately, I don't have a chrono, but I kind of went over my setup and what I'm shooting. Now, as far as tuning, there's all kinds of ways you can do it. Personally, I've always just shot my bow through paper tuned it, and basically went from there. And I was shooting with fletchings on, everything like that. But this year I actually did a little different, because in the past with shooting a Rage, you know, they fly just like a field point, so I really didn't care. Just, you know, it was the quick, easy thing to do. Now this year I've went a lot deeper off into it. So what I did, stripped an arrow down completely to the bare shaft, and I did what is called bare shaft tuning. When you shoot, you know, you want to make sure that that arrow is flying perfectly straight and you're not getting, you know, any kick or any weird flight out of it. You can look up all kinds of different videos through YouTube on, you know, paper tuning or bare shaft tuning. There's a lot of great videos. That's what I would recommend to do, is go on there and do that. What I did, you know, I started out real close at about, you know, 5 yards shot, you know, made my adjustments by either moving my D loop up or down, or my rest left or right or up and down, until I got it flying how I wanted. I backed up to 20 yards and that thing was flying like a dart, backed up to 30 yards, still flying like a dart. And so at that point, what I did, what I like to do is get my target, I shoot a block, I you know, put like a piece of tape down it, and then put a piece of tape across it. So basically you have a cross. What I'll do is I'll first adjust my left and right. So I'll just pick a spot, like I'm not trying to aim at a dot. I'll shoot and see where the arrow hits. If it shoots left or right, whatever. If I'm shooting to the right, I move my sight to the right, because you chase your arrow, and I keep shooting until my arrow every time is basically hitting that piece of tape. Now, once I get that left and right set up, then I do the horizontal line and get my up and down correct. Once I shoot that, you know, I had my up and down right. So now my bow is perfectly paper tuned with the bare shaft. It was flying left and right. It was perfect up and down. So I mean, I could just grab a bare shaft, draw back, shoot at 20 yards and 30 yards and hit exactly what I was aiming at. And then I went ahead and put fletchings on, which those fletchings, you know, really help straighten out your arrow, help it fly a lot better. And at that point, you know, it was pretty much lights out, hitting directly at what I was aiming at. I mean, I had to make a little, you know, fine tune adjustments once everything was on there. But I love it. If any of you have any questions, feel free to reach out. You know, hit me up here on YouTube. I'll try to answer any questions or make any videos to help anybody out. You know, it's all a learning experience. I've been shooting bows now since I was about 7 years old. I just turned 30 now, so I've been shooting for, you know, 20 plus years, 23 years. I've been actually archery hunting since I was 12 years old. Took my first deer with archery tackle when I was 13, and since then, you know, we've got a pretty good trophy room. My dad's deer, another deer of my dad's. That's a deer that my wife, her uncle gave to her, I believe. My first deer I ever killed, that was a little 6-point. You know, that's a gun kill. This is my first buck with a bow. That was a pretty cool deal. My dad got that one. Here we have a Missouri buck that I killed with my bow. Here's a South Dakota buck that I killed with my bow. Here's a dead head I found. This is an axis deer from Texas. That was pretty neat. There's a nice Florida buck. That was a rifle kill. Here's a bow kill. You know, a couple more kills there. And then here we go. We have the traditional equipment. And I would really like to make some videos and start hunting that way eventually. You know, that's kind of my goal, is to kill maybe a couple nice bucks this year with my compound, and then hopefully next year take you on the journey along with me. And you know, I would really like to get into that, so we'll see. I practice and shoot, but you know, it's going to take a little more confidence and a little more research and a little more tuning and all that, but you know, it's pretty awesome traditional. But you know, get one of your friends, buddies out there who had never shot a bow, and you know, let them shoot your bow and try to get them in and take them out hunting with you. So God bless you. You got any questions, hit me up on you know, Facebook, YouTube. I'll try to answer everything I can. So y'all have a good night.